Hello there, Hollows, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the 5 best tips for beginners in Armored Core 6. I've been playing loads of Armored Core 6 now. This game really has grabbed my attention and is one of the best games to come out in the last few years, in my opinion. I did not think in a million years I was going to like mech kind of game, but anyway, I've talked about that loads. This game's awesome, and I really want everybody, as you know, to be giving this game a proper fair chance, even if you don't necessarily look at it and think, this is what I want to play. I still recommend giving it a go, and here are some tips to help make your experience playing Armored Core 6 better. Number 1, make sure you replay missions as well as play the training missions as well. Both of these are really important, and the missions, you can get loads more money, which will help you buy new things, buy new weapons and armor, and then you can, even if you get some things you've already got, you can sell them to get more money to go and buy more things. That's an incredibly useful thing to do, as well as doing the training missions, because the training missions are right there, and you might think, okay, I've done the tutorial now, I guess I don't really need to do the training missions. I thought that too, but honestly, going into there, some of the parts that you can get from those training missions are really helpful. You get a great, really powerful weapon you can charge up. It's like a gun, and you charge it up, and that charge shot is incredibly powerful from one of those training missions, which is really good in the early game as well, and helps you out in some of those early game mech fights as well. The second one is melee attacks are incredibly powerful in this game. Now, if you're someone that's coming from more shooting games and not like the Dark Souls games, then maybe you won't be thinking melee attacks are going to be that powerful in a game that's all about shooting. Believe it or not, melee attacks are insane, especially that first mech on mech fight that you get in about the 3rd or 4th mission you do. I think the 4th mission, there's this one mech that you fight. The melee attacks there are incredibly useful. Even the very first tutorial boss fight, that helicopter that you fight, using the melee attacks, flying up there and using that melee attack is the best way to take him down as good as possible really early on. The third thing is make sure that you find the supply stations, especially in some of the missions where there's boss fights, because there's usually an option to resupply before you go into a boss fight, and that's really important because you'll be able to get your repair kits back, you'll be able to get your AP back, and all this kind of stuff is really important. And especially if you want to try and get into a boss fight and do as good as you can on your first attempt, it's good to do that. It's good to resupply. And if you don't see a supply station, then maybe you might want to think about just letting the boss kill you and then go in there again, because you want to get a good shot, don't you, if you're going to be doing the boss fights. The next thing is make sure you pay attention to your load limit. This is incredibly important, and it's something that I did not really pay attention to when I started playing this game. I just saw it there, I didn't quite understand why it was building up, why my character was freezing sometimes and I couldn't move for a second, and it took me a while to actually understand that you can build up essentially a stagger meter on an enemy mech, and they can also do the same thing to you. And therefore they can stagger you, which then means that you are taking more damage when you are staggered. And especially in boss fights, you never want this to happen, because the boss fights in this game are tough enough as it already is. You do not want to get staggered so the boss is doing even more damage to you, because believe me, the amount of times when I died to a boss just because I wasn't paying attention to my ACS load limit, and then suddenly I'm staggered and I go from almost full health to dead in just a couple of hits. You don't want to ruin a fantastic boss run with something like that happening, because it's no fun for anybody. Next, experimentation is absolutely key in Armored Core 6. Experimentation is always good in real life, to be honest. You always want to be experimenting with different things. Trying new things out is always good, especially in Armored Core 6, because you might find you're comfortable with a certain mech, but then suddenly you're struggling. And if you're struggling, the best thing to do is to, even if you're comfortable with that mech, you can save that template so you can go back to that one if you want to, and try out some new weapons, try out some new armor, change your parts around and see if that works better. Because sometimes that's what you need. You need to try and change things up, and then you'll end up finding something that's even better than what you originally had, chances are. Especially with the new weapons and things, because some of the weapons, they don't look good at first, or you might think, oh, but I prefer the one I've got now, and then you use it, and yes, it might play a bit differently, you might have to approach certain combat scenarios a little bit differently, but believe me, you will end up usually finding something that's even better than you originally thought. And the final thing is there's an arena in this game, and the arena is absolutely awesome. It's a complete change of pace from the regular campaign, which is on the main menu, and this is all about having rematches against mechs that you've already fought in regular missions, except this time they're beefed up and you can get some extra money and some extra OST chips. And these are absolutely awesome and vital as well for upgrading your mechs and making yourself even more powerful. So if you're struggling with a certain boss, or if you're struggling with a certain mission, maybe step back, take on the arena a little bit, and you'll be able to get some extra stuff which will help you out in the main game. So those are my 5 beginners tips for people coming to Armored Core 6 who might be having a bit of a tough time. Let me know if there's any other tips that you people have down in the comments if you're a veteran player or if you're a beginner. Let me know down below if you need some extra tips or if you're struggling with anything specifically. I'll be more than happy to help you out down there in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Maybe share this video with anything you enjoyed. I feel it was good enough. Thank you again for watching. This is Saul signing out. Have a good one.